the guidelines to winning personal injury cases. So we want as much objective evidence as possible. Use third-party trusted sources. We want to use subjective and we want to use hybrid, but you definitely need to use what are called sensitivity testing that are totally objective, especially with soft tissue injuries. Now, you don't have to just be objective. I want subjective in there. I want hybrid subjective because it establishes credibility. The problem in the past is people just had subjective documentation. And that was a big problem with soft tissue spinal injuries. It's not that way anymore. So you want to use as many third-party trusted sources as possible. Why? Trust. Everything you do as a doctor or chiropractor, you want to use as much third-party, and you want to say as little of your opinion as possible. And as a matter of fact, you never want to give your opinion. You want to do everything you can to not give your opinion. Everything you say should be based on what's called a third-party trusted source. Here's a couple examples. What's their healing based on? 3 phases of healing. That's not my opinion. That's not chiropractic's opinion. That's not this chiropractor's opinion. That's the science of healing. Biomarkers. Same thing. So these are just some examples. So we're going to go into third-party trusted sources. Use only accepted science, no junk science. What is, and this was a question that was asked earlier. So what are common junk science that chiropractors use? What's common junk science? First of all, what's the definition of accepted science versus junk science? Peer-reviewed. If it's peer-reviewed. Okay? Now, why do you want to use third-party accepted scientific peer-reviewed sources? Why do you want to use that? How well can it be contested? Can it be contested? No. That's why you want to use it, because it can't be contested. That's why. Okay? What are some of the 2 or 3 top things chiropractors use that's junk science, that is not peer-reviewed? Thermography. Do you guys know thermography is junk science? Do you know how hard it is to reproduce that? With the air conditioner, the temperature that you set it, the thermal ratings of the walls, the dress. I mean, no, it's not reproducible. It's not reproducible. What else is a common junk science chiropractors use with personal injury?
Surface EMG.
Surface EMG. Surface EMG, same thing. That's junk science. That's not. Again, you got too many variables. It's not reproducible. What else? Neurokilometers. Neurokilometer, the chiropractic neurokilometer, junk science. Now, those are some big ones. So why do you never want to use those in your documentation? By the way, raise your hand if you're using one of those. Anybody in here using them? After I said don't use them. Why do you not want to use them? Well, what happens when they find that you're using one piece of junk science in all your documentation? What does a good attorney do to that?
Destroy your credibility.
A good attorney takes that credibility and magnifies the heck out of it to help minimize the rest of your credibility. I always jokingly say that when you do something like that, like junk science, and I'm the defense attorney, I'm the insurance attorney, do you know how long I'm going to stay on your junk science? If I knew what I was doing, fortunately most attorneys don't. If I knew what I was doing, you know how long I'm going to stay giving in your testimony with thermography or your surface EMG? Do you know how long I'm going to be questioning you in court with that? Until you start crying. That's how long I'm gonna destroy you. Left, right, top, down, bottom. See, because I know if I can make you mush here, it totally destroys everything else you're saying. I'm not even gonna worry about the science stuff. I'm gonna just go for you right here. I'm gonna go for you big. And that's why you never want to use junk science. So that never happens to you. Stay away from chiropractic junk science. Quantify, quantify, quantify. We're going to go into this a lot. You've got to quantify. Why? Well, establishing the need for care, get paid, how the patient is responding. Are they responding appropriately? Are they slow in response? Do they need a different type of therapeutic protocol? Are they at MMI? I mean, the bottom line is that's what's going to determine MMI is how they're responding to care. So quantifying is unbelievably important for everything you do. State the purpose of the test, normal and the results. So we always want to be aware of what the tests are and what normals are. The more visual, the better. Why? Especially in a deposition or court, 55% how he communicates visual, 36% is tone, only 7% are words. I want as much visual as possible every time I'm talking to, especially in court, with court testimony. Medical team. We always want to use the medical team. What's the number one? Well, the clinical reason, obviously, is the benefit of the patient, so they get the proper protocol for whatever their problem is. But then also it's third-party trust. You always want a medical team. We'll go into the medical team and when you would use it, what conditions and all that stuff. So you never want to be a lone cowboy. Never. You have your medical team. That supports what you're doing. The classic chiropractic personal injury patient, the minor impact soft tissue injury patient, the accumulation of multiple pieces of data and the 4 pillars that win the case. Rarely are there grand slams. It's a combination of subjective, hybrid subjective and objective that wins cases. It's a combination of low and high sensitivity testing. We got to be very clear what the difference is between a low sensitivity test and a high sensitivity test. You'll totally miss the vast majority of problems in soft tissue personal injury if you're doing low sensitivity testing. Do not mainly use subjective low sensitivity testing in junk science. Chiropractors do that a lot. They use a lot of subjective, low sensitivity testing. What's the big ones what's the seminars that they were always putting on? J-Tech would always put on a seminar and they would sell their muscle machine and their range of motion machine, right? Is gross range of motion much of a factor 60 to 90 days later in a typical soft tissue personal injury case? No, I've never given an impairment rating for that. The typical active range of motion almost always goes back to normal. Almost always. Or junk science. So if you have a chiropractor who's basing a lot on low sensitivity testing, subjective findings, and their junk science, you got a problem. You don't have a chiropractor who's winning cases.